moving on. Let's see. Yes, President Trump will demolish the entire east wing of the White House by this weekend to make way for a new ballroom. He's personally overseeing the project, which is estimated to be costing $300 million. Here is explaining why it's needed.
They've wanted a ballroom for 150 years, and I'm giving that honor to this wonderful place. I think we should do it. This was the ballroom, and this room holds 88 people, and the new one will hold 999 people, which is a difference. I say 999 because I didn't want to crack 1,000. I didn't want people to get concerned, because that's getting big. But we're going to have, we'll have the most beautiful ballroom in the country.
Well, Trump says the renovation will be of zero cost to the taxpayer and will be paid for by his friends. With me now is the interiors editor at Country and Townhouse magazine, Carole Annett. Carole, hello.
Hello, Hugo.
Thanks for being with us. So the White House secretary has called this a big, beautiful ballroom with plans for chandeliers and ornate columns and so on. Sounds like it's going to be extremely subtle in decor terms, right?
Well, I think what you need to remember with the ballroom is that basically it's a blank space, because it's the event that's going to dictate the decor. So, I mean, yes, you want it to look lovely, but also it's got to be very cleverly constructed, so that you've got all sorts of AV and, he's going to want some massive screens in there so that he can show his, next inauguration or do some Zoom calls on it. So it's got to be very cleverly designed to hide all sorts of things behind the paneling. At the new Chancery Hotel on the site of the Old American Embassy in London, a company called Albion Nor has just done the ballroom there. And they have put in 3 huge jumbo screens that when you walk in, all you do is sort of go, wow, with the size and scale of the place. But actually, it's a very functional space. And I think I think it's probably a good thing that the White House is going to have a space which is going to be used for many, many years to come in all sorts of different guises. I mean, if you're lucky enough to get invited to Highgrove, you don't often go inside Highgrove. They have an event space in the garden, and it sort of keeps all the people that you might want to come for dinner but don't want sort of sitting around your fireplace, cozying on your sofa in your actual house, apart. I think it's a good idea.
Look, I mean, you've presumably seen more ballrooms than I have. Is 25,000 square feet, is that big for a ballroom, or middling, small? What?
Well, I mean, I think for the President of the United States, he can go, I think you go big or go home, frankly. I mean, I think he's going to have to link the detail into the rest of the building. So I understand that eagles and urns and gold fireplaces have been put into the Oval Office, not least his Diet Coke button. So hopefully he'll have his Coke button on the wall next to him, where, wherever he's going to have his throne in the stateroom, and hopefully a little press for champagne button for all the rest of us that prefer champagne to Diet Coke.
Well, look, I mean, so the East Wing as was emerged after an expansion in 1942, which I suppose makes it one of America's oldest buildings. It is now sort of being sort of knocked down. Is there any architectural loss there? Because he did assure people that he wasn't going to damage the existing structure. Now he seems to be removing quite a lot of it.
Well, he doesn't often stick to what he says, does he? I mean, I think to be fair to him, I'm not sure that there was. I mean, obviously, don't know. I'm not sure how much architectural detail there was, but they can put a lot back in, and that's what's quite nice to sort of continue the theme, and also put in, all the craftspeople and gilders, and they're going to be making. This is really good for the craft industry. I mean, we've got a fantastic company called Haberdashery in Greenwich who will make the chandeliers for him, and you want beautiful chandeliers that are going to go up and down depending on levels of intimacy. I mean, I think it's going to be awesome. And actually, I'd like to suggest an interior designer for him. I don't know whether he's got one on his list.
I'm sure he's listening. Go for it. Yeah.
There's a fantastic British interior designer based in LA called Martin Lawrence Bullard, who does the interiors for people like the Kardashians, Tommy Hilfiger. He did a grand ballroom for RuPaul, the wonderful drag queen. And I think if they brought in somebody like Martin, he could give it a bit of pizzazz.
Look, finally, Carole, he said one of the reasons that he needs a new ballroom is because currently women have to walk through wet grass and this can't continue to happen. Is that a common flaw with accessing ballrooms?
I think it probably is. It's like going to a wedding in a tent and they say, you might have to walk through a muddy field. I think, I think he should have a little, a little runway, covered runway going to the new wing. I think it'd be fantastic, covered in bougainvillea or stars and stripes or twinkly lights. I think the world's your oyster. Bring it on.
Maybe a travelator like an airport. Thank you very much indeed, Carole. That is Carole Annett, interiors editor at Country and Townhouse magazine. Good to speak to you, Carole.
Many people were surprised the entire East Wing is being demolished because you had said initially that the ballroom would just touch or would not.
Well,
touch
certain
it.
areas
What
are being
happened?
certain areas are being left. We determined that after really a tremendous amount of study with some of the best architects in the world, we determined that really knocking it down, trying to use a little section. The East Wing was not much. There was not much left from the original. It was over the course of 100 years, it was changed, the columns were removed, and it was a much different building. Then a story was added on in 1948, 1949. There was a story added on, which was not particularly nice. And the building was very, very much changed from what it was originally. It was never thought of as being much. It was a very small building. And rather than allowing that to hurt a very expensive, beautiful building that, frankly, they've been after for years. You have that. I brought these along so people could see, but very great patriots, actually. And the spirit on the building of it is amazing. We are using little sections of footings and various other things, but that's sort of irrelevant. We're also working with the military on it because they want to make sure everything's perfect, and the military is very much involved in this. They want to make sure everything is absolutely beautiful. You can see the kind of interiors that we're talking about. That's an interior of the ballroom. And it's the highest level. And you see it goes beautifully with the White House. I mean, the mix is beautiful. So over the years, many presidents have made changes. This obviously would be the biggest change, but this was something they've wanted for at least 150 years. In order to do it properly, we had to take down the existing structure. The way it was shown, it looked like we were touching the White House. We don't touch the White House. That's a bridge, a glass bridge, going from the White House to the ballroom. Then you get into the lobby of the ballroom, and then you go into the the main room. And it's something that has gotten incredible reviews. And this is a proper kind of a thing. Now, what the White House was doing, as you know, is they were putting tents out on the lawn. This is an interior shot of the ballroom. I think there'll be nothing like it. And it's being paid for 100% by me and some friends of mine, donors. As an example, President Xi, or they had a leader of one of the countries, including the king and the queen from your favorite country,
absolutely,
frankly, but where they'd be honored, and they'd be in a tent out on the lawn, and it would rain, and it was a disaster. Brian's shaking his head. You know what I'm talking about.